Mljet is one of the most forested islands of the Croatian Adriatic. Around 70% of its surface is covered by woodland, which is why it has long been known as the greenest island. This completeness of nature, forests descending to the sea, wetlands, rock formations and steep cliffs, is the main reason why the western part of the island was declared a national park in 1960. The eastern part has also remained protected as a nature reserve, preserving plant life and geological features that are rare even in the Mediterranean. In ancient sources, Mljet appears under several names: Mljet, Meletus, Meleta, and Melada. All are derived from the Greek word for honey. It is believed that large numbers of bees once living in the island's forests left such a strong impression that the island was named after them. The island stretches parallel to the Pelliashats Peninsula, from which it is separated by the 8-kilometre-wide Mljet Channel. It is 37 kilometres long and, on average, only 3 kilometres wide. This slender shape, oriented southeast to northwest, follows the direction of the Dinaric mountain range, revealing Mljet's geological connection to the Dinarides. The island is built of limestone and dolomite, permeable rocks that have shaped its many depressions, valleys, fields and parallel ridges running along its length. The coastline is deeply indented, with bays and headlands, accompanied by small islets and rocky reefs. The northern coast is gentler and more accessible, while the southern side, facing the open sea, reflects the character of the Adriatic: steep cliffs, exposed ridges, and several collapsed caves. The most famous of these is Odysseus Cave, a natural opening formed by the collapse of an underground chamber. A tunnel connects it to the sea, allowing water to flow in directly from the open Adriatic. According to legend, Odysseus stayed here after a shipwreck, gazing toward the horizon for years, while the nymph Calypso watched over the island and their story. The sea inside the cave displays an unusually intense deep blue color, created by light reflecting off pale rock and entering through the sea opening at different angles. In cracks and crevices of the rocks live species adapted to extreme conditions: strong sun, salt, and wind. These include Dubrovnik knapweed, Jupiter's beard, and other plants that survive where almost nothing else can. The coast is further shaped by rocky islets that provide quiet nesting places for birds. Among them is the Ordwaan's gull, one of the rarest species of the Adriatic, along with terns and other seabirds drawn to the isolation and silence of these small rocks. Lizards can often be seen basking on the sun-warmed stone. On the southeastern side of the island lie Saplunara and the Blatsay Bay, with Limuni Beach, one of the most distinctive geomorphological features of the Adriatic. Its fine quartz sand was formed during the Ice Ages, when winds carried and deposited quartz particles, creating this rare coastal habitat. On the bare sand grow specialized dune plants, while slightly farther inland appear species that require more organic matter, brought by the sea or from land. This is also one of the few natural sandy beaches of the southern Adriatic, giving Mljet an almost exotic appearance, especially where pale sand meets rock and dense pine forests descending toward the sea. From the air, Mljet looks like a green, rolling ridge floating in the blue sea. Aleppo pine forests cover the steep slopes, and the scent of resin and salt, combined with the constant sound of cicadas, makes it one of the strongest expressions of Mediterranean nature. In many parts of Mljet, the forest is exceptionally dense. Pines press tightly together and descend all the way to the shoreline, with branches in places extending directly over the sea and even dipping into the water. In such sheltered coves, where sweet resin mixes with sea salt, the well-known saying was born that on Mljet, mussels grow on pine trees, because shellfish can indeed be found attached to submerged branches touching the sea surface. In the Velika Dolina Reserve, remnants of original evergreen oak and black ash forest have been preserved, a fragment of former Mediterranean woodland. Elsewhere, most of the island is now covered by dense, hard-to-pass maki that has grown back where forests once stood. Shrub fruits add colour throughout the landscape. In these hidden, shaded places live many songbirds, finches, blackbirds and robins, while in summer, the song of the nightingale can be heard. Mljet's forests are home to many insects, lizards and other small animals that form the base of the island's ecosystem. Insects are especially abundant, adapted to the dry, warm climate and dense vegetation. Cicadas are almost everywhere. Their song is easy to hear and continues throughout summer. Yet the insects themselves are hard to spot as they blend into pine bark and shrubs. This constant sound is one of the clearest signs of summer on Mljet and an essential part of its forest atmosphere. Mljet is also one of the least populated large Adriatic islands. Historically, villages developed in narrow fields between hills, in valleys where fertile soil accumulated over centuries. Here, people grew vines, olives, and vegetables. Life was demanding and relied on manual work and donkeys as the main means of transport. Today, some villages are abandoned, and vegetation is slowly reclaiming the fields. Old houses, wells, and stone walls still remain, bearing witness to a time when every piece of land mattered. In Blato, one of the larger depressions, tall reeds grow where vines and vegetables once stood. Here, a small wetland has formed, rich in life. In this type of marsh, typical of the Dalmatian coast, live ducks, coots, frogs and turtles, while dragonflies fly above, including the endangered Mediterranean bluetail. With the arrival of winter, eels gather here, connecting to the sea through underground karst channels. For centuries, local people waited for and caught them. This wetland was an important part of island life and diet. The most famous area of the national park is the Veliko and Malo Lakes. Although called lakes, they are marine bays deeply cut into the land, formed when sea levels rose after the Ice Age. The water here is calmer than the open sea, and summer temperatures can reach up to 30 degrees Celsius. In winter, the lakes are colder than the surrounding Adriatic. Their indented shores are lined with pine trees that reach down to the water's edge. The two lakes are connected by a narrow channel through which water flows in and out with the tides. Above the Saline Strait stands a stone bridge, built in the 15th century when Benedictine monks used sea currents to power their mill. The passage was widened and deepened in 1958 to allow small boats to enter the lakes. Today, the Veliko and Malo Lakes are favourite places for nature lovers and visitors who experience Mljet in a slower, more immediate way. Here, the rhythm slows naturally. Sheltered from the open sea, the lakes are calm, without strong waves or constant noise, giving the area a feeling of seclusion from the rest of the island. Along the shores and nearby forest, visitors can swim in quiet, warm water, paddle a kayak, or move slowly along the coast without haste or a fixed plan. Because of their protected position and limited exchange with the open sea, the lake water is warmer in summer than the Adriatic, allowing this quiet Mediterranean landscape to be enjoyed well into autumn, when much of the coast is empty. The underwater world around the island is exceptionally rich. Near the Great Bridge, at the entrance to Veliko Lake, lies the largest known colony of reef-forming coral in the Mediterranean. About 650 square meters of living structure, constantly supplied by marine currents. This area is also an important spawning ground for many fish species. At the center of Veliko Lake lies the islet of St. Mary, the main cultural landmark of Mljet National Park. The Benedictine monastery, built in the 12th century, served for centuries as the island's spiritual and cultural center. Monks, scholars, and poets once lived here, and the islet long symbolized retreat, prayer, and learning. St. Mary can be reached only by boat, which still enhances the sense of isolation and calm. Landing at the stone shore, visitors enter a space where silence feels natural and time seems to slow. After the period of Napoleonic rule, the monastery was abandoned and in the 20th century briefly converted into a small hotel that operated until the early 1990s. Today, the complex is being restored and returned to the care of the Diocese of Dubrovnik. In the quiet of the lake, surrounded by water and forest, layers of history accumulated over centuries can be clearly felt, leaving a strong sense of continuity and permanence. Mljet brings together three defining elements of the Mediterranean: forest, sea, and karst. Its landscapes tell the story of an island long shaped by isolation, which has helped preserve a rare balance between nature and history. Today, this balance is protected by researchers, nature guardians, and a growing number of visitors discovering one of the Adriatic's most valuable landscapes.